There's a subject, my beloved brothers and sisters. Each one of us wakes up every single day with a brand new page, a fresh start, a blank chapter waiting to be written. Your morning is when that very first moment when your eyes open and your heart begins to beat in awareness is the key that will decide the tone of your entire day and ultimately the direction of your life. How you begin your morning matters more than you think. If you begin with gratitude, thanking the Almighty for another chance to live, breathe, and seek His pleasure, you carry a light into your day that no darkness can overcome. But if you start your morning with laziness, neglect, or disobedience, you plant seeds of chaos that will grow throughout the hours ahead. The morning is not just a time, it is a mindset. When you rise with purpose, when you start with prayer, remembrance, and positivity, you build a foundation upon which success, and is why the early hours are so antonym, peace and blessings can stand firmly. That is why the early hours are so emphasized, because they carried in shaping your destiny. Think about it, if your morning is wasted, your day will slip away, and your life will eventually reflect that waste. But if your morning is disciplined, filled with reflection, worship, planning, and the right intentions, your day becomes productive, meaningful, and fulfilling. And in Reynolds, when your days are consistently meaningful, your entire life becomes a story of success, barakah, and closeness to your Creator. So, ask yourself, how do I wake up? Do I begin by rushing into distractions of this world? Or do I begin by connecting with the one who gave me life? Do I let my morning slip by unnoticed, or do I seize it as the most powerful opportunity of my existence? Your morning is your compass. It points you either towards growth, success, and peace, or towards regret, weakness, and loss. Never underestimate it. If you want to change your life, change the way you start your morning. If you want to achieve greatness, start with the greatness of worship and discipline at dawn. Remember, your morning will decide your life. Choose wisely, rise with purpose, and let every new sunrise be the beginning of a better version of yourself. The morning is like the foundation of a building. Just as no building can stand tall without a strong foundation, no life can be truly successful without a disciplined and purposeful start to the day. When the early hours are given importance, when they are treated as sacred moments to plan, reflect and act with intention, the rest of the day flows with structure and meaning. Many people underestimate the power of these first hours and rush through them in a state of carelessness. But those who dedicate the mornings to discipline and purpose find that their entire lives take a direct progress, stability, and peace. The way you start is often the way you continue. And so the morning sets the tone for everything that follows. Discipline in the morning means training yourself to rise even when your body feels like sleeping, to resist the temptation of laziness, and to prioritize what truly matters. It means being mindful about what you feed your mind, your heart, and your body in those crucial moments. If you choose discipline by beginning with prayer, reflection, exercise, or learning, you energize your soul and body with strength that carries through the day. But if you choose to ignore discipline, you begin your day with weakness, and weakness often multiplies. Discipline in the morning is not about rigid routines alone. It is about placing your duties, both spiritual and worldly, above temporary comfort. It is about telling yourself that your goals are more important than your bed, that your growth is more important than your comfort. And that your connection with Creator is more important than the fleeting satisfaction of another hour of sleep. Purpose in the morning gives direction. Imagine a traveler who begins their journey without knowing where they are headed. They will walk aimlessly and waste their energy. But a traveler who begins with a clear destination walks with confidence and reaches their goal. In the same way, when you rise each morning with purpose, reminding yourself why you are alive, what you need to achieve and who you want to be, your actions throughout the day align with that vision. Without purpose, life becomes a series of random actions, filled with regret and wasted opportunities. With purpose, every step counts. Every effort builds towards a meaningful life, and even small actions become valuable. The reason why mornings are emphasized so much is because they are untouched by the noise of the world. The early hours are quiet, free from distractions. Sweet as soul and full of clarity. This is the time when your mind is fresh, your heart is calm, and your soul is most receptive. If you use these hours wisely, you take charge of your day before the world demands your attention. It is like planting seeds in fertile soil. Whatever you plant in those hours will grow throughout the day. If you plant focused prayer, planning, and discipline, your day will be fruitful. If you plant negligence, laziness, and distraction, a disciplined and purposeful morning also builds long-term habits that shape your character. Success in any field, spiritual, professional, or personal, does not come from one grand act, but from consistent small actions done daily. By disciplining yourself every morning, you train your mind and body to follow a routine of excellence. Over time, these repeated actions become habits. And habits form your character. A person who wastes mornings will likely waste their life, but a person who respects their mornings will build a life of productivity and success. It is also important to realize that a purposeful morning does not mean overloading yourself with endless tasks. Rather, it means identifying what matters most and focusing on that with sincerity. It may be as simple as dedicating time to worship, setting clear goals for the day, exercising to maintain health, or reflecting on how to improve yourself. The key is to make sure that when the morning passes, when you can say with certainty that you started in a way that honors both your faith and your responsibilities. This simple act of purposeful living prevents regret and brings peace to the heart. Discipline and purpose in the morning have another hidden blessing. They protect you from being controlled by the world. Many people begin their day by reaching for their phones, drowning themselves in social media, messages, and distractions. Without realizing it, they hand over control of their emotions and focus to external influences. But when you begin your day with discipline, you take control into your own hands. You decide what enters your heart and mind. Science says you set your own intentions and you walk into the world prepared rather than reactive. This difference alone determines whether you spend your day in strength or in weakness. Life is nothing more than the sum of our days. And our days are shaped by how we begin them. If every morning is wasted, then life itself is wasted. But if every morning is purposeful and disciplined, then life itself becomes meaningful. People often dream of success, fulfillment, and peace. But they forget that these dreams are built brick by brick, morning by morning. Every sunrise is an invitation to start fresh, to live differently, to grow stronger. If you miss that invitation, you miss the very opportunity to shape your destiny. This is why the morning must never be taken lightly. It is the foundation upon which the building of your life stands. A weak foundation cannot carry a tall building. And a wasted morning cannot carry a meaningful life. But when your mornings are filled with discipline, guided by purpose, and rooted in worship, you will find that your entire life rises like a strong, beautiful structure that brings peace to you and those around you. The choice is yours every single day. Will you begin with strength or with weakness, with purpose or with distraction? The answer to that question is the answer to how your life will unfold. When a person neglects their morning, they're not just losing a few hours at the start of the day. They are setting in motion a cycle of wasted time that stretches in the rest of their life. The morning is like the spark that ignites the flame of productivity, purpose, and spiritual strength. When that spark is ignored, suddenly the flame never truly burns, and the entire day is left in darkness. Wasting the morning leads to wasted days, and when days pile upon each other without direction, they become wasted months and years, resulting in an unfulfilled and regretful life. This is why it is so important to recognize that the way you begin determines what you become. A wasted morning often begins with delay, procrastination, and heedlessness. Instead of rising with gratitude and discipline, a person allows themselves to sleep excessively or to get absorbed immediately in distractions that add no value. They begin with social media, gossip, or entertainment, and before they realize it, precious hours have already passed. These are hours that could have been invested in prayer, reflection, learning, planning, or work that shapes their future. Once lost, those hours cannot be retrieved, and because the morning was neglected, the rest of the day feels unproductive and unfocused. This cycle, repeat over time, destroys the potential of a person's entire life. Think of life as a book and each day as a page. If the beginning of the page is empty, rushed, or filled with meaningless scribbles, the entire page loses its structure and value. And if most of the pages are written in this careless way, the book of life becomes a story of missed opportunities. Every human being is given a limited number of days, and when mornings are wasted, entire chapters of life are wasted without meaning. This is why wise people emphasize protecting their mornings as though they are protecting treasure. Because indeed they are the most valuable treasure of time. Neglecting the morning also weakens a person's character. When you allow yourself to waste the most important part of the day, you unconsciously train yourself in laziness and carelessness. Over time, this becomes a habit that defines you. You become someone who is always chasing after time rather than leading it. Someone who is always reacting to circumstances rather than creating them. This weakens your resolve, diminishes your discipline, and makes you vulnerable to every distraction around you. The loss is not just in hours, but in the very strength of your spirit and personality. Moreover, wasting the morning damages a person's spiritual life. The early hours are filled with blessings and mercy, when they are especially chosen for and they are specially chosen for remembrance, prayer, and reflection. When a person chooses to sleep through them or ignore them, they cut themselves off from those blessings. They lose the peace, clarity, wall, and protection that comes from starting with remembrance of the Almighty. Instead, they enter the day with heaviness, confusion, and lack of direction. This spiritual emptiness affects their interactions, their work, and their sense of purpose. They leaving them restless even if they achieve material tasks. Without the light of the morning, the rest of the day becomes a struggle in darkness. The consequences of wasted mornings accumulate. Missing one morning might not seem like much, But when it becomes a pattern, it turns into wasted weeks, months, and eventually years. At the end of such a life, a person looks back and realizes that so much time slipped away without purpose. They regret not having achieved what they were capable of, not having grown into the person they were meant to be. Regret becomes heavy when one realizes that the loss was not due to lack of opportunity, but due to neglect of the mornings that could have been used to change everything. The opposite is also true. A person who protects their mornings automatically protects their days. By starting with focus, worship, and productivity, they create momentum that carries through the rest of the hours. They accomplish more, they feel more satisfied, and then they grow in both their worldly affairs and spiritual journey. Over time, these productive days add up to a life of achievement, meaning, and fulfillment. The difference between the fulfilled and the unfulfilled life is often not in the grand events, but in the consistent habits of the morning. It is important to understand that no one wastes their entire life in one moment. It is wasted slowly, bit by bit, morning by morning. The loss is subtle at first, but its impact grows with time. Similarly, no one builds a meaningful life overnight. It is built through disciplined mornings that turn into productive days, which accumulate into years of growth and achievement. This is why the morning is so crucial. It is the root from which the entire tree of life grows. If the root is weak, the tree cannot stand. If the root is strong, the tree grows tall and bears fruit. So when a person allows their mornings to be wasted, they are not only losing time, they are losing potential, they are losing blessings, and they are losing the chance to write a meaningful story with their life. Every wasted morning is a missed opportunity to get closer to the Almighty, to improve oneself, to work towards goals, and to serve others. And because life is short, those opportunities do not return. This realization should awaken us to the urgency of protecting our mornings. In truth, neglecting the morning is one of the greatest deceptions of life. People believe they have plenty of time. They treat the morning as something unimportant. But the wise know that the morning is the crown jewel of the day, and losing it is like losing the entire treasure. The difference between a life of regret and a life of fulfillment often lies in how we treat those first hours after dawn. Those who honor them rise, and those who waste them fall. Your morning is like a compass that points your entire day in a certain direction. Just as a traveler relies on a compass to stay on course, you rely on your morning to guide the tone, the energy, and the focus of your life. Your compass right in the early hours, you walk towards growth, success, and peace. But if you allow your morning to slip into neglect, distraction, or negativity, your compass points you towards regret, weakness, and loss. This is not simply a poetic idea. It is a truth that manifests itself in the way every choice, every thought, and every action unfolds throughout the day. When you begin your morning with clarity and purpose, thus you are essentially aligning your compass with what matters most. You remind yourself of your values, your goals, and your connection with your Creator. This creates a sense of direction that carries you through every challenge. For example, if you start with prayer and reflection, when difficulties arise later in the day, you already have patience and faith guiding your responses. If you start with planning and focus, you are less likely to waste time on meaningless distractions. This alignment gives you strength and ensures that your path leads towards growth rather than chaos. The morning compass is not only about spiritual direction, but also about emotional and mental orientation. Imagine waking up and immediately consuming negativity, whether through complaining, worrying, or immersing yourself in the endless stream of bad news. Your compass then points towards anxiety and frustration, and your entire day becomes colored by those emotions. On the other hand, if you choose gratitude and positivity as the first thoughts of your morning, your compass points towards contentment and resilience. You walk into the world ready to face its challenges with hope rather than fear. The difference lies in the way you chose to set your direction at the very start. What makes the morning compass so powerful is its ability to multiply. A single positive act in the morning can produce a chain reaction of good throughout the day. For instance, starting with exercise gives you energy, which improves your mood, which makes you kinder to others, which strengthens your relationships, which in turn improves your overall sense of fulfillment. In the same way, starting with laziness or distraction multiplies into procrastination, missed opportunities, frustration, and eventually regret. One small choice in the morning sends ripples through the hours that follow, and those ripples eventually shape the ocean of your life. It is also important to note that the compass of the morning does not lie. If you start in the wrong direction, you cannot expect to arrive at the right destination. Many people dream of peace, success, and happiness, yet their mornings point them towards stress, waste, and heedlessness. The compass is honest. It will take you exactly where you set it to go. If you set it towards remembrance, discipline, and gratitude, your path will naturally move towards success and growth. If you set it towards distraction and neglect, your path will move towards emptiness. Life does not cheat us. We cheat ourselves by ignoring where we are pointing. The morning compass also gives stability. In life, there are countless uncertainties and trials. Sometimes the day brings unexpected challenges, and it is easy to get lost in confusion or fear. But if your compass was set correctly in the morning, you have a guiding direction even when the road becomes unclear. For example, a person who begins with trust in the Almighty and clarity of purpose will hold on to patience when hardship comes rather than collapsing. Their compass does not allow them to drift too far, even when the storm is strong. In contrast, a person who starts the day aimlessly is easily thrown off balance by the smallest difficulty, because they had no direction to hold on to in the first place. Consider also how the morning compass affects your long-term journey. Every day is like a single step on a larger path. If your compass is even slightly off in the morning, and you keep following it day after day, you will eventually end up far from where you intended to be. To where a small degree of negligence repeated over months and years leads to massive deviation. But if your compass is set correctly each morning, you steadily move closer to the life you aspire to live. It is consistency that matters. And the morning is where that consistency begins. The wisdom of treating your morning like a compass is that it forces you to be intentional. Instead of stumbling through life and hoping for the best, you consciously decide where you want to go and how you want to live. This does not mean every day will be perfect, but it means you are less likely to be lost. Your direction is set, your purpose is clear, and your steps, even if small, are moving forward. The compass keeps you from drifting into regret, and it keeps you moving towards growth. Ultimately, the morning compass teaches us responsibility. You cannot blame others or circumstances as if your life feels empty or chaotic when you repeatedly set your mornings in the wrong direction. At the same time, you cannot underestimate the power you hold each day when you wake up. By choosing remembrance over neglect, discipline over laziness, purpose over aimlessness, you are choosing to guide your life towards peace, success, and fulfillment. Every morning gives you the chance to adjust your compass, closer, and to correct your course, and to move closer to becoming the person you were created to be. So your morning is not just about waking up, it is about pointing your life in the right direction. If you honor it, protect it, and use it wisely, it will guide you to a destination of meaning and blessing. If you neglect it, it will lead you to regret. The choice of where your compass points lies with you every single morning, and that choice decides the story of your entire life.